Hayom, nice to see you all. Geeta, thank you for that lovely introduction. And thank you for all your help in helping us raising money to help others all over the world. It makes us feel good when we can do something to serve. It gives us a purpose in life, because service makes you happy. And as Rotary, their philosophy is service above self. And I love it. Any Rotarians here? Oh, we got, wow, 2 Rotarians, good. I really do like your organization. We've done so much good all over the world. It's phenomenal what Rotary has done. And you know, my brother is a Rotarian in the Far East, and I get newsletters from him, and some of the work you do with AIDS patients in China, hundreds and hundreds of injections in India last year. It's just wonderful to hear. And then last year when we traveled to India to do eye operations for 200 people, 400 poor people who could not afford operations for their eyes. They were blind or cataracts or couldn't see. And we went to this hospital. It was an amazing hospital run by an amazing doctor. And it was latest technical equipment, better than in Europe. You had people there from all over Europe and America going there to study. Because they do so many operations on a daily basis, they become so good at it. They become experts. As Sri Patanjali tells us, Sri Patanjali is a great, he is the originator of the yoga philosophy. Nobody knows whether he was one person or was many people, but he was one of the first to write down the philosophy of yoga. And he said, whatever you do for a long time, without a break, and with all your heart, you will be successful in. And of course, these doctors have done this for so long, and more than their heart, to help so many poor people. And now they have hospitals all over India. And they started with just one little house, husband and wife, saying, how can we do something for the world as doctors? How can we change the country? How can we make our country better? So husband and wife started off in this little house, and then they had a lot of help from Rotary. And now today they have hospitals all over India. And every day they do 200 free operations. Because we get donors, like we did 400. Each operation was $22 US. That's the cost. And that's all we had to pay. So for $22 US, the blind literally could see. And we were so lucky to go to the hospital and be there, because they bring these people from the villages in buses. They go to the villages because these people don't know where to go. They go talk to all the people in the villages. They look at their eyes, they study their eyes, they bring them to the hospital, they give them food, and we were allowed to feed them. 100 people we fed, and we feed them the food. They do the operation, they stay there 2 or 3 days, and then they go home. It's phenomenal. I said, why aren't we doing this here in the West? What is wrong with us? And then when we went to this hospital, nobody was stressed. You know, because we went to visit so many, the head, the doctor, Dr. Ramani, took us to visit all the top, you know, departments. And everywhere we went, you could see the staff were laughing. And it was packed. Every room was packed with poor people, sitting on the floor, sitting here, bandages. Wasn't it like that? So many people, and nobody stressed. And you go to a hospital here, where you paid huge amounts of money, and all the staff is stressed. And you go in an emergency, fill in a form. We seem to have lost a bit of our humanity. I think we need to build it up again. So today's topic was, can you repeat it again? I'm sorry.
How to turn the present uncertain times into something positive.
Wow, the present uncertain times. This is a good subject. Into something positive. I think we're living, as Charles Dickens would say, in the best of times and in the worst of times. You know, he said that, and that book was written about the French Revolution. So I think many times in history, when there is a change, when there's a revolution happening, we call it the best of times and the worst of times. Because before there is a change, there's always a revolution. There is always a lot of dirt coming up. People are getting agitated. They're not happy with the way things are running. The world order is in confusion. Things that we believed in are falling apart. Look at the medical system. How many people have told me in the last 5-6 years they have no more faith? Doctors don't know what they're doing. They're confused. You know, natural medicine is also going the other extreme. So where is the truth? And so many people who have a disease come to me and say, I can't seem to find my answers anywhere. So we're in a state of revolution. And the reason why we're in such uncertain times is because we need to find clarity. It's a revolution. It's exciting. We're living in a time where we can make a difference, where doctors, where natural people can really make a difference. And how can they make a difference? By integrating, by sharing, by working together. This is the revolution that's coming up next. We are tired of separation, this new generation. Look at the internet today. How many wonderful messages do we hear? Never heard them 10 years ago. I remember 20 years ago when I started teaching yoga, I was called a witch, I don't know how many times. Hate letters in the mail to me, this many, you know, calling me a witch. And 20 years later, the whole world is changing. And when I talk about yoga, I am actually, please understand, I am speaking about a personal, each person's connection with what they call God or the universe. What they call God or the universe. Doesn't matter what I think. It's that connection with our higher self, the highest we can be, the best we can be. So every time I say yoga, I mean that we are in that connection, all right? So it's not that you're doing postures. So, and postures help to keep your health. They are wonderful. And nutrition helps. Everything helps to keep our health. But we are going in these very difficult times. Let's start with a health issue, because this is one of the biggest issues today. How can you turn it into the positive? For me, I see more and more people are starting to take their own health into their own hands. With illnesses, so many people getting sick, now people are starting to be aware, oh, our diet is not as healthy as it should be. In the olden days, when meat was eaten, it was eaten maybe once a month or twice a month, and always in celebration. And if you read even the Bible, when it was a special occasion, they will take the lamb and they will pray and they'll bless it and they'll offer it to God and then they'll enjoy it. See, everything was done as a service in love. Creatures, animals were treated with so much love. And today we just kill indiscriminately. We don't think. Today people are so greedy that they put all these chickens in these horrible pens and they suffocate them. The cows, the animals are given injections with all these hormones and poisons, and we get mad cow disease and chicken flu, right? Why? Because every time man goes into greed mode, nature will send something to wake man up. What are you doing? It's a call from nature that loves us. You're becoming too greedy. I've given you abundance. But instead of taking what you need and leaving what you don't need, you just become greedy. And you just want and want and want and want. So a lot of us overeat. A lot of us abuse food and undereat and use it as a tool, as an emotional tool. Because we have lost our balance. And now, because of all these things happening, a lot of people are looking into what they need for their bodies. There's a big change. Haven't you noticed? People are more aware. You know, I need to look after myself. I need to not overeat. I need to not overdo. And I think this is a great thing. So a lot of diseases have come, and the poor animals have sacrificed their lives to teach us about balance. You see, for me, I see this so clearly. I see this so clearly that we are so loved that whenever we go wrong, trouble comes to us to teach us to rebalance, to regroup, to care, to love. Animals are sisters and brothers. They may not look like it, but they are. And any of you that have a dog or a cat or an animal, you know they have a personality. You know they have a soul. You know, you can feel it. So they just don't have the ability we have. You know, and God made man and breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life. So, what we call God, or the universe of power, gave us the ability to create a world so precious and so beautiful, and to maintain it. But instead, we became greedy. We became filled with desires. I want, I need, I have to have. We became selfish. And in that selfishness and in that greed, we've lost our peace. And the great gift that we have, we've sacrificed. We've sacrificed this great gift of creating this beautiful world, making it what we can to the best. We've sacrificed that for a little personal gain. For a little personal gain. I want this so you can suffer. We seem to have lost this feeling of family. You know, human beings are all one, that we're all just one family, working together. We all have two eyes, one nose, one mouth, hands, feet. We may differ in culture, in color, but our anatomy is identical. We all have a liver, pancreas. We all have a digestive system. We made all these colors were created so that we could learn and have some fun and travel to different countries. You know, it's so exciting. You go to Italy and know how the Italians live, and you go to Sweden and how the Swedes live, and the lakes and everything, and go to China and it's all for us to learn and enjoy. But instead, we want to overtake, control, and this is what the politicians have also done in the world. Control, overtake, possess countries, oil, all maybe in the name of their nation, but I don't think if you ask any individual if they want their oil, somebody else's oil, they will tell you no. All for personal gain and greed. And we have all been like sheep. Sheep, just following, just allowing. So now, because we've been sheep, I always say, when there's a problem in your life, you get a knock. And it's soft. Knock, knock, something's going wrong. If you don't fix it, if you don't fix that problem, you get a harder knock on your door or your mental lake, an argument or something, or some illness. You don't listen. And then finally, you get a bang! And you have to get up and listen. You have to listen once the bang comes. And I've seen in this generation with so many of the people I see, when the bang comes, the shock comes with relationships. And this generation, the second thing I've seen that has really been painful in this time is the shift in relationships. It's been really, for me, interesting to watch, because 37 years ago when I got married, there was more, I think maybe they didn't communicate so much at that time, but there was more silence in relationship. And now there's a lot of noise in relationships. People are not, they were talking too little at that time. And now we are talking too much. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Thank you. There was a problem with relationships at that time because people didn't say what they thought. They didn't say what they were thinking. So there was a lot of repression. Like my mother's generation, she wasn't happy, she just had to hold it because women weren't supposed to say how they felt. And a man also used to hold it because if they say anything to their wives, they get hysterical. So they wouldn't also speak. So what's the point of telling her? She just gets screams and shouts, so I keep quiet. So we got a situation where people just lived together sometimes without the depth of spirit in the relationship. Then we had now, in the last 50, 60 years, women coming out and saying, you know, we're human beings as well. We are souls. And then we've had the men who have been taught, you have to look after the woman, you have to supply the money. And in the meantime, the woman's fighting for her independence. The man is looking after the woman and getting no gratitude, just being hit back with, it's never enough, it's this, and they want their freedom, but at the same time they want the man to do everything. It's a both-way situation. And then what you get is just a total misunderstanding. And this is what I've seen. There are lots of splits in this generation because whenever there is a shift towards greatness, there will always be a revolution. And this is why you have so many splits in relationship. So that we both, male and female, need to correct ourselves. The males need more feminine energy. The female needed more male energy. But instead of taking just a little, they overtook and now want to control the man. So the man becomes weak when they're in control because they're not used to that situation. They naturally want to look after. That's their nature. And our nature as women, naturally we are born to nurture. That's why we are mothers, you know. And that's why men are bigger, because they're more protective. But instead of working together as one, we talk about, oh, we want to be one with the universe, one with God, one. And we can't even be one with the person next to us. Because of all this confusion with what we see on TV, how a marriage should be, what you read in magazines, how it should be, and overhype on sexual activity, you know. Sex is a very beautiful thing. Lovemaking is a beautiful thing. And it's been talked about and used with so little respect and so little love. Such a great gift, such an honor for men and women to be together, because really in that act, you can be together as one. But it's abused. Oh, now it's promiscuity. Many partners, many partners. People think that all this lust is going to make them happy. It's going to give them something. Oh, let's go, let's leave, let's try. Maybe another woman or another man is going to make me happier. And they go into these cycles, which I've seen now after working with people for 20 years. And after, they go from one to the other, and the other, you know what? Maybe I should have stayed with the first one. After 4 divorces and so many alimonies, they really have no more money, you know. And no more love, and so much suffering. And so much, the worst thing is so much suffering. And why? Is anybody bad? No, absolutely not. It's just not having enough knowledge. It's not having enough knowledge. That's where we fall. And this is why I love the philosophy of yoga. It says that when you have knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, you can actually destroy the negative karma that's coming your way. You know, so let's say, for example, in relationships, and I've worked with many, the relationship has become so bad in the sense that the wife's always telling the husband or partner, nowadays people don't even get married, that you're wrong, and the other one's always telling them they're wrong. When they come and see me, I said, I really need to see both of you together. And I get them to listen, talk to each other. And they're both blaming each other for exactly the same things. And so I tell them, listen. I say, you stop talking, you listen. But I want you to listen without wanting. You see, they're not listening, they're thinking of their answers already, what they're going to answer. I said, listen, hold my hand, just hold my hand. I said, now breathe. And now listen to what your partner is telling you. So take a deep breath. I don't want you to think. Surround yourself in love. What are they telling you? And when they listen, I said, did you hear? And they go, I think I did. Now is your partner telling you something in love? Yes. The problem that they had before is they told you something that was good for you, but the manner in which they told you was incorrect. Because you can say to your partner, you know, I'm not happy when you swear at me like that. It makes me feel not good about myself. You know, it really makes me feel not good about myself. And if you do it again, I really have to take a strong reaction. That partner will get the message. But what do? Partner swears. The other one attacking, swear back. How dare you spit? And you see, there is a wall. And there's this wall keeps building up and it gets worse and worse till there's an explosion. But really deep in both the partners' heart, there's so much love. They're actually the perfect couple for each other. Because they're exactly together because they want to learn. They have the same lessons to learn. They have the same lessons to learn. But one is saying it one way and the other one's saying it the other way. So for me, I tell them, I said, this explosion, this difficult time, because the subject is how to make best of a difficult time, right? See the positive. I said, this difficult time is really good for you guys, you know, if you want to take it. You can fix it or you can destroy it. That's your choice. But I do feel, if I don't feel the love, then I think sometimes it's better they just leave each other. But many times there is such a strong bond. I said, just for today, you really hate each other, accept that. So now have some quiet space. Now, lovingly tell each other you want to be away from each other to think a little before you make any drastic moves. Be away from each other 1 week. Come back in a week. And many times I have found this works. Because they have to think. When you have somebody by your side 24 hours a day, of course you're going to go crazy. And that's another shift we've made. We've actually grown as human beings, male and female. We both have learned that in order to be happy in this world, we need to be exactly who we are and not what somebody else wants us to be. And if you can communicate with your partner that the highest way you can live is to follow your spiritual path. That you want to be a good person so you can be a better wife or a better husband or a better human being. And if you can communicate that to them in great love, they, the other partner, with time will absorb that love. And if they can't, then you separate. But you separate with love. You separate with love. Look, you know, our paths are so different. No point two of us staying together in hell. So let us separate in harmony. And this is the shift that we need to make in relationships. This is why so many marriages are broken down. So many men just run off or women just run off. And the reason they run off is because they can't face their truth. So it's better to run away than to face their truth. But the problem with running is if you don't fix your problem, you will always run. So whatever it is, good or bad, face it, communicate, talk. I think we're very, very lucky, blessed to come into a generation where we can express how we feel much easier. I remember my mother said to me, about 20 years ago, she said, when I first got married, she said, you know, you are so lucky. You can tell me what you want to do with your life. And you can tell your husband what you think. I could never tell anybody what I wanted to do with my life. I wasn't allowed to say it. And I thought, wow, we're really coming in a generation where we're really blessed. We can do so many things. So many things that we've never done before. So all these times, these shifts in relationships, these shifts in energies, if you are going through your shift in a relationship, my advice to you is, before you do anything drastic, spend some time alone with yourself in peace. See the person that you feel is causing you so much pain. See that person not from the point of view as your relationship with that person, but as a human being separate in himself or herself. Separate human being. Really sit down and see this person is separate from me. Why? Why am I always upset with this person? What in that person brings out the worst in me? What is it? When you look at that and you see the worst in you, if you really look at it, you will realize that that person has come to your life to realize the worst in you has to be fixed. Because the worst in you comes from you. That person is just the instrument to show you the worst in you. And it's a very curious thing that happens. When one person accepts, this is my failing, the other person will immediately forgive. And I've seen this in my own life, in my own marriage. I used to say to my husband all the time, I think I've told some of you this story. I used to say to him, you know, you're so cold. And he used to say to me, you're so emotional. You know, everything is like, you're so emotional. And I said, that's only because you're so cold. And you ask the world, everybody would say my husband was very warm. He did. He gave the best hugs in the world. But I, after living with him for 7 years, could no longer see this. Because I could see he was cold because it was, you know, too many years together. It happens. You start to, instead of praising them and taking the best out of them, after 5 or 6 years, you only see the worst. You know, and I didn't have the science of yoga at that time, right? So, I know we used to get into these arguments, and then when I started to meditate, I remember sitting in quiet. That's the secret. And suddenly, I saw the scene. I saw it as if I was watching a movie. There was my husband sitting in the sofa. And there I was, and we were talking. And he was talking like this, and I was talking, and I looked at it and I go, oh my God, I am over the top emotional. Yes, he may be cold, yes, he may. Don't do this, because he was very English in his manner. Sometimes they use so English, meaning a compliment, because they're very reserved and strong, you know, whereas I was like all over the place, which I learned to admire and respect so much later on, you know. The strength of reservation sometimes, not just shout and scream. And I saw that picture of myself and I went, oh my God, it's the truth. All the time he was telling my truth, but I didn't want to hear it because I thought I was wonderful and he was wrong. And then came the big lesson. Walking up to him, swallowing your pride and ego, and I went up to him and I said, you know, darling, you always am over emotional. You know, I saw it in my meditation today. I'm really sorry. I was wrong. And he goes, don't worry about it. No big deal. It was that simple. That's all he wanted to hear me say. Many times, something really dramatic happens in our life, and I talked about it yesterday, the first thing we want to do is blame somebody else in emotion. And really, all we have to do is take that thought, and if it's so harmful, take responsibility for it. Doesn't matter if you make a mistake. Nobody really cares, so long as you admit it. And that's the hard part for human beings, admitting it. So these problems in relationships, and I can speak about it for hours because I have so many examples, because there's been so many cases in the last 10 years, is one of the great shifts in our energy field. Also, the other reason why this is happening is, like I said, people need to be who they are. We need to be who we're born to be. And there's too much possessiveness in relationships. You're my husband, you're my wife. So we're not allowed to grow. Even Khalil Gibran, the great Persian poet, so many 100 years ago, said relationships should be like two pillars of the same temple, both separate, but at the same time, if one falls, the other falls. But they're separate, and they have their own independence, and together they make a perfect team. They build a beautiful temple for others to walk in. Our Master Sri Swami Satchidananda said, always look at the partner that you're given. If it's a male, look at him as a god, and the male should look at a female as a goddess. And I saw my parents do that. You know, my mother always used to say, in fact, when my father passed, she said, I not only lost my husband, I lost my guru, my teacher, my spiritual teacher, and my master. I lost my God. That's what she said. Because the marriage was always looked upon like this. And my father always said, your mother is my Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance and wealth. And he said, she's Lakshmi. If I look after Lakshmi, goddess Lakshmi, if I look after her as a goddess and give her whatever she wants, then she will shower on me all abundance of the world. And truly, that is what I saw. I saw in that communication, that kind of communication, a higher ideal that the gods actually blessed. So, going back to being oneself, I think this is really important in this generation. And all this breaking up and separation has made people look into their lives, look into themselves, because it's very lonely when that happens. Really, many of them say, I'm so lonely, Nalanie. You know, I miss having somebody around. I'm so alone. So I said, now you have no choice, you are alone. But really you're not. There's a spirit in you, and this is your time to find yourself, to become who you were born to be. When you just are comfortable in your own skin, only then will the right person come to you. And if not, by then you'll be so happy in your own skin, you may not even need anyone. And I think this is the switch of relationships, and it's exciting times. The best is if you can communicate, and when soon as things go wrong, talk to each other. Romance is very important. Male and females both. Females think, oh, the man should buy me flowers. Why? You should buy the man flowers or chocolates. Why is it always one-sided? It's really very unfair. I think if we want fair, we should both do things for each other and surprise each other all the time. Romance is joyful. We all love it. Everybody loves romance. Everybody loves romance in movies and everywhere else. So why don't you have a life? Create it. And this is the great yogic gift. We are given the gift of the gods. You can create the romance. So you can actually go home tonight and decide to have a very romantic evening or a miserable evening. You can do it by making this strong, taking away the ego, and saying, okay, I want to make my life magical. I'm going to look at my partner as a goddess or God tonight. How would you treat a god and goddess? And have fun and enjoy it and love it. You don't know how much time you have on this earth. You've got somebody by your side. Enjoy them. What's the point of somebody in your side and have a headache all day long? Who's the fool? You are the fool. So this is how, when things go wrong, look at how you can brighten it. Always look, how can you make it better? How can you make it better? Then we look at the world order, which is the next thing I'll speak to. And everybody looks at the news, right? And they say about the news, oh my God, I can't watch the news. Stock market's falling. I've got shares in the market. Every day I get business people calling me up. You're not your money, I tell them. You're not your money. When you die, you cannot take your money with you. Remember that? You know what they were saying just before I walked in? I'm not this body. I'm not this mind, immortal self. Don't worry so much about money. Keep your feet on the ground. If you lose all your money in the stock market, you still have you. You still have a life. Okay, thank you, Nalanie. Bye. And then I don't hear from them for months until the next stock market fall. And it's quite interesting, but it's just a reminder. It's so interesting. It's just a reminder, hey, you're much more than your business. You are much more than your home. You are much more than that. Just a reminder is all they need. And that's it. That's it. I said, meditate more, then you'll remember. You don't have to go into panic zone. If you do it every day, you won't go into panic zone. So the world is in crisis now. Again, why is it all in crisis? You know the answers. Greed. Oh, greed. Yeah. Absolutely. And one of the laws, yogic laws, is practice non-greed. People have never had more machines to help them wash clothes, wash dishes, do this, do that, and people have never been more busy. How did that happen? We have so many things to help us, and yet we're so busy, you know? I remember when I first got married, like I said yesterday, I went from very wealthy to not so wealthy. I came to Gibraltar and there was no washing machine. And of course, all the maids did the washing when I was in Hong Kong. And I had to wash in a tub. And I had time with 2 babies to wash everyday nappies. And now we have machines and people are complaining all the time. And I'm going, why are you complaining? There's so many things given to us to make our lives better. And we're not, because we're always looking at what else can we get. This person has this, and that person has that. So on a global scale, if you look at all the big pharmaceuticals and all the big companies, and how much more? Because they see all this coming in, so they want more and more, because their lives are full of palaces and yachts and this, and everything they see is money, 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 until the day comes somebody in their family will die. And once I remember I had a patient that did a lot of work with drugs, you know, and I don't get into people's personal lives, and neither do I feel have a right to judge anybody. For me, everything is a lesson. Nobody's really bad. We all have lessons to learn. Anyway, this person was in the drug business, and one day their child got very, 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 very sick, and had cancer, and was going to die. And the parent actually said to me, "Is this the law of karma?" I said, "I'm so sorry to tell you this. Your money is made in the wrong manner, with greed. Now your only child you're going to lose. But how many children have suffered because of your drugs? How many children have died because of your drugs?" And he just burst out crying and said, I'm so sorry, can my son, my child live? It's not in my hands, it's not in your hands. It's not a punishment. It's just the law of science. as you sow, you will reap. It's a scientific law. There's no God punishing us. There's no punishment from God. I don't need a God like that. And I don't believe God is that. God is love. It's power. It's energy. And as we sow, we are going to reap. So what have we sown in the last 10 years? Greed. What do we tell? How many parents have told their children, so long as you get the best marks, and I want you to make a salary of so many thousands a year, and all the children are rebelling now. Not only are they rebelling, they're going to university, there are no more jobs. There are no more jobs when they come back from university. And they're saying, and they have no practical knowledge. Maybe they would have been better off not to go to university and have learned to do some wood carving or something artistic, or I don't know. But maybe they would have been better off, but they're coming back with no practical knowledge, only mental knowledge, and they don't know how to cope with life because they can't get a job. And of course, because there are so few jobs, people with experience will be chosen over people that have just finished university. Because obviously companies would want some people with at least 10 years or 15 years experience. Whereas about 10 years ago, they were choosing all young people. But now they can't afford to. So all our greed that we have created in minds, in emotions, with our children, with our families, and the way we have been living, just more and more and more, so the world has gone to this boiling point. And do you know what? How many wonderful people are making great changes. So many good people out there. Greenpeace is one of the organizations, and more young people coming up and saying, let us preserve our earth. People are studying, eco building, things to help us. So many businesses now are now starting up to think of more environment friendly. So things are getting better. It's just that the news doesn't tell us of those things. Do you know why? If they don't tell us, Ole is the expert with conspiracy theories, but I'm not. But I can see that this is actually really happening, because when we are in fear, we walk like sheep and we just follow, because we're fearful. We're fearful, so we just listen to it. Okay, you have to take this, we'll just take it. But now, because with all that fear, we can now see clearly it's of no benefit to us. So now we are fighting back. More and more people. And it makes me so happy to see young people. My daughter, for example, Mom, I don't want to, she had a job as a manager of Barclays many years ago. At her age, 24 at that time, she was getting $35,000 a year. At her age, right? And she said to me, Mom, do you think it's wrong if I give up my job, I'm going to have a baby? And I said, how do you feel about it? She said, Mom, I can't live in that world. It's all about money. And it's all about greed. And I see people lose thousands as the managers every day. And the bank doesn't even care. She said, I don't want to be there. I don't want the money. I'd rather be poor and happy. And she said, I never be poor anyway, Mom, because I have my mind intelligence. And sure enough, in her pregnancy, she left the job and she started lecturing because she had studied economics. And while her husband lost his job in private banking, instead of getting another job, they opened their own business. So they running their own business. And then a few years ago, she was running it with her husband. She had the third child, which was special needs. And she goes, again, this child needs me. I will do anything I can to make this child survive. So I'll give up the job, the work, focus on the child. And for me, she was putting in the right place. And I said, when you save a soul, you save a life. In the end, money, you can't take it with you anyway. But a life can go on to give more encouragement, more life, more joy. So what better work is there in the world? And I'm seeing more and more of this happening. Young people are saying, I want to look after my children. Not that my grandmother should bring up the children, but let me bring up my child. It's my gift. It's my time. I'll do with less. I'll do with less. Whereas the mediocre generation, we couldn't do with less. We wanted more. So we wanted more. But it was a transition. You see, there's no wrong and right. We had to make that transition. Men had to see that women could work, that we had an intelligence. But now we're over that transition. And now we're coming to a beautiful time of communication where we talk to each other as souls and finding the best in the male and finding the best in the female. It's a really exciting time. And this finding of the yin and the yang in each individual will create a balance in the world. So in order for the world climate to change, in order for greed to be rectified, the only way we can do this is by rectifying our own lives. It's the only way. Then there are certain people that are born with the gift of making a difference. And they have to be the Arjunas, the warriors of the world. They are those that are born with that gift to make drastic changes. Those that work for the safety of the animals, those that work for the safety of the earth. They are those souls that are born that have that voice, and they must use that voice. And I have met many such souls in the last 10 years. Suddenly all these people are coming to me and saying, oh Nalini, I have this thing that I want to protect this. I said, go join an environmental society. Go join this and do it. If you have it in your heart, it means you need to do it. Have the courage to find out. And recently there was a young girl, I want to do this, I want to help, I want to teach people how to eat better. Do it. She did it. And she comes back, she's so satisfied. What stops us from walking that extra step? Fear. Because whenever you start a new thing, it's scary, it's difficult, but you got to do it. Fight for yourself. If you don't fight for you, nobody will. I said that yesterday. And some people, even in this room, have huge voices that they're not using. And you know yourselves. You have huge voices. You can make vast differences. And that's the human existence. This is the time of change. This is the time to inspire yourself. It's scary, but I can inspire myself. I can walk that extra mile. The world needs me. I was born with this personality to do this because the world needs me, and I've got to follow this, no matter how hard it is. This is the exciting thing of these difficult times. We can make a difference. And so many people in this room do, with food, with nutrition, with aromatherapy, with so many different things that you are all doing in your life. So many of you are already making differences in the business world. So many corporations, even in Hong Kong, now big organizations are using karma yoga. They make the money, they give a percentage to charities. There's really many big organizations. I started off with Dr. Ramani in India. Great doctors, giving all their time for service and love. Yes, they get a good salary. They deserve it. But at the same time, how much are they doing for thousands in the world? And I have met such people in abundance now. People like Bill Gates. You read about him, what he's doing with charities, etc. There are people that are putting a lot back into the community, And we need to do that. And the only way you can do that is creating abundance, the feeling of abundance in you. That you are abundant in whatever you're good at. You're abundant in it. People are too fearful. We're not good enough. We can't do it. I'm just a small business. I'm just a small business person. What can I do? You're not small. You're an entity. It took one Gandhi to shift the whole of India. It took one Jesus. It took one Swami Satchidananda. It takes one Mother Teresa. So you're not just one small person. Gandhi was average. My master came from a village in India, and he became international. So don't think small. This is the exciting times in this negative world when we think we are here for a reason, and this is how you make it positive. I am here at this time on this earth for a reason. How can I make a difference? Even if it's tiny, how can I make a difference? I'm here in my home with my family. Start here. I'm here in my business at the workplace. What do? Go into your work. If your business is not working, go have a staff meeting. Say, today I'm going to buy you all breakfast. Come, as a team, business is bad. Let's see what we can do as a team to work together to build up our business. Because if you work hard for my business will give you the bonuses and you'll have a job. So let's work together as a team. And this is how you change. Together, we, instead of I, me, mine, my staff. But it's teamwork. This is the new way forward. We all have the light. All of us. And we all are born to live in the image of God. That's what the Bible said. We're all made in God's image. I didn't say it. We are all born in God's image. And we sacrifice that greatness for a little fear, for getting involved in all the, letting ourselves get sucked in by all the negative newscasts. The next time you watch the news, will you do as I do? Try it. It's really good. It works. You look at the news and you pray for all the politicians that they may see the light. You pray for all the suffering. And if you meet anybody in media, in magazine work, or in TV work, infuse them with spirit. Don't be frightened. Talk to them of a new way forward so that they can they can spread goodness. They can spread goodness. I was talking to a friend the other day. I said, I really would like to create a documentary saying the world is full of goodness, and interviewing wonderful people who've done wonderful things, and infusing, showing that video all over the world of all these great souls. You see, then what will happen? That's the best revolution, because everybody will say, hey, guess what? There's so many wonderful people in this world. Why am I focusing on the negative? Why am I allowing these great whatever you call them, organizations to take me over? We are far greater. We have far many more people. And that's the power we have. And that's why so many people are being enlightened very quickly in this age. It's exciting to see. Very quickly people are starting to understand that they're a soul and they're a spirit. Very quickly, I've seen it. It's so interesting. 20 years ago, 10 years to explain the same spiritual concept. Now, 1 hour and people get it. So our speed of our learning is also quickened. Why? Because the earth needs it. The earth needs it. That's why we're called. There's no coincidence why you're here today, because obviously you have something to do or something to rectify or something to sort out in your own life that you've been procrastinating. So stop the procrastinating. Trust yourself. Trust the light. Meditate more and bring that out. Bring that out. The world needs that good energy. Fill your mind with positive. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. Pray for our world. And if you have lots extra, give something away. Give something. If you're a hoarder, somebody who keeps everything in the wardrobes that you'll never use again, take all the courage you have and say, what am I going to do with all this? And remove half. It's a great feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. It's so much space in my wardrobe. Guess what? You can buy new things. That can tempt you. Now you have space and you won't get in a bad mood every morning seeing a mess. Start to share, start to give, and if you don't have material things, share of your knowledge, share of your kindness, share of your time, Be a friend in need. Go and hold a friend's hand when they're going through a bad time. Share. That energy has a lot of vortex. Love has this vortex that swirls and swirls into these great white lights. That's why you have all these saints surrounded by these white lights. Because the energy is so powerful. We are scientifically really computerized. If you look at our spine, it's all full of wires. And when we get the message, we light up like a bulb. And that's the Sahasrara chakra. It's actually true. And that's why you see, I don't know if you've seen, but I have seen halos around around my master. Always saw it. And the interesting thing is, going off the beat now, the interesting thing is when once I was in India and he was giving a talk, the hall, maybe 200 people. And right at the end of the hall, he's talking like this way, and the photograph is that way. So everybody's looking at him. Somebody took a photograph of all the audience. Now, at the back of the hall, there's this huge painting of him walking in side pose, and it's just a painting. When they took the photograph, and it's not a flash, because it was in the middle of the day, the photograph came out at the back with a halo just around his head. And so I said, oh, I never noticed that this painting, this photograph of him at the back, which is huge, had the halo. And the monk who was there said, it doesn't. I said, look at this photograph. So we went into the room. Oh my God, it was a perfect halo. You know, I still have that photograph. And like that many times in my life, I've had like, oh my God, this is proof. It's proof, because sometimes when you see it with your own eyes, you think you might be imagining. You think it's not true. But you know, I've seen so many proofs in this day and age, and more are coming. More and more are coming, because the gods, the universe wants to help us to save this earth. And are we listening? Oh, we're just getting so involved in petty things. Oh my God, he said this to me, she said this to me. My life is so boring, my life is so dull. Oh God, change that shit. Oh, stop the nonsense, yes. Oh my God, change that shit. Your life is not boring. You only have one life that you know. You may have many more, but you won't be the same person. You won't have the same body. But as you know, in this name, the name that you carry today, one chance. Please don't say it's boring. And if it is, go make it exciting.